You should be thankful to the snow. What is one of the worst inventions? It's which let the cranberries float. There were 9 engineering cameras. Name a country which should be on the top of the list. Now if you load your Kindle with 100 books for example, will it become heavier? What's up guys, this is Musa. I hope you guys have been doing great. Welcome to one more video on mind-blowing facts. Make sure to watch all the videos in this series if you haven't watched them yet. Now if you're excited about 1 or 2 terabytes of hard disk, let me tell you that you've got to be curious about a hard disk which is on you, and that too free. Now what I mean by this is, if you were to compare your memory with the hard disk, that will be an interesting thing to do. Now how much do you guys think you got in there? Make a guess. Make a guess guys. 1 GB, 2 GB, 100 GBs, 1 TB, 10 TBs, 1 kilobyte, 1 megabyte. Now in order to understand this, let me ask you guys a very simple question. Imagine an epic battle between the neurons and the stars. I'm talking about numbers here. Neurons and stars in the Milky Way galaxy. The number of stars in the Milky Way is between 200 to 400 billion. 200 to 400 billion guys. But here is an interesting fact. The neurons in the human brain approximately 80 to 100 billion guys. And remember, a single neuron is capable of connecting with 10,000 others. Now this makes up to 2.5 petabytes or 2500 terabytes. 2500 terabytes of memory guys. Who knew we could store so much of data, and that too for free? So stop paying companies for data storage. I'm just kidding guys. You still need them. Because we aren't portable hard disks, right? Or are we? And listen, I'm going to talk about the memory thing again later on in this video. And that is going to be much more interesting than this fact, okay? So watch this video till the end. And let us move on, okay? Next one. Now if you guys have visited or lived on Earth, hoping someone is watching me on Mars too. Now you might have heard of Asia, America, Europe, Africa. Now these are nothing but big pieces of land, okay? Continents, we call them on Earth. Now here we are talking about a landmass. That means submerged beneath the Pacific Ocean. Can you name it? Now here is a hint for you guys. New Zealand is the largest part of it, which is above sea level. Followed by New Caledonia. Name it guys. It's known as Zealandia or Tasmantis. Almost 94% remains submerged. Anyways, why am I asking you guys? Mermaids may know better. Now let us move on to the next one. An authentication tool. A unique print. Now let me give you a hint. It's on the face of a person. Answer guys. The tongue print. Since we're not lizards, we don't use it much. But remember, it is unique. Now let us move on to the next one. Now you might have heard of rich people. We're not there yet guys, but we will be soon. So let us talk about rich fruits, okay? Rich fruits. Now we are talking about Japanese fruits, the rich ones. In May 2019, 2 melons from Hokkaido. They were sold in an auction. Guess the price. Guess the price. Approximately $45,000. Now these are rich fruits. I can buy a big one for $4 or $5. But let me tell you, a single melon can cost up to $200 in there too. Apart from auction, a bunch of 15 or so grapes can be sold up to $100. I think we should stop and move on to the next one guys. Now this one is about world's largest tire manufacturer. Now let me give you a hint. 381 million in the year 2010 alone. 381 million. Which qualified for a Guinness record a decade ago. It's not good here. No Bridgestone or Michelle. It is your favorite Lego. Now let's move on to the next one. Now imagine you upload a couple of photographs on the Facebook and they end up getting stored in a small town. I mean, there's a good chance that these photographs will get stored into this town. We're talking about big windowless halls where staff may ride through the corridors using scooters. Guess the town. We're talking about Prineville in Oregon. Just try to Google this town and you can see Facebook, Amazon and Microsoft are working on it. Now this one is about world's largest building by volume. Let me give you guys a hint. This one is in United States. Well, this is an assembly site for a selection of company's largest aircrafts. And this is in Everett, Washington. originally built for construction of Boeing 747, Boeing's factory in Everett. Now just to give you guys an idea about how big 747 is in size, 10,000 747s stacked on top of each other would be approximately 124 kilometers in height. Or I can say they are equivalent to 149 Burj Khalifas in Dubai, 382 Eiffel Towers in Paris. So these planes need a lot of space. Now let us move on to the next one. Now this one is about energy, energy and energy. Now here's what I mean by this. What are we going to do about the data centers now and in future? For example, things like crypto. So they need a lot of energy, right? So the energy demand is actually increasing. Global electricity demand, 20,000 terawatt hours. Electricity used by information and communication technology, 2,000 terawatt hours. So global data centers, storage and transmission, they likely consume more than 200 terawatt hours a year. And that is more than national energy consumption of many countries. Can you imagine that, guys? Data centers are going to take a lot of energy in coming years. Some models predict that the electricity used by ICT could exceed 20%. That is 1/5 of the total global total. And it's just a matter of time. And data centers can use more than 1/3 of that. Oh crypto, we got to go green soon. Now this one is about Mars. Talking about the Mars and the rover. Perseverance rover. How many cameras did it have? How many cameras do you guys think? Remember, your phone might have 1, 2 or 3 cameras. But we're talking about a rover here. Come on guys, guess. Okay, let us split them up. There were 9 engineering cameras. They measure the ground around the rover for safe driving, for example. They check out the status of rover hardware and support sample gathering. HAZCAMs, hazard avoidance cameras. So these were the engineering cameras. What else? 7 science cameras which provide the 3D view. Now this one is interesting. Laser supercam vaporizes rock to reveal elemental composition. So there are 3 types of cameras. What else? The 3rd type of camera. These are very important. There are 7 more cameras for entry, descent and landing. Now this one is about food, guys. Name a country which should be on the top of the list when it comes to restaurants. Question. Here are a few top places. France, Mirazur. Denmark, Noma. Spain, Asador. And if you're talking about Mirazur, it is in Menton, France. And it is rated 3 stars by Michelin Guide. And don't forget, the Spanish restaurants are usually on the top too. Now let's move on to the next one. Now when it snows, you should be thankful to the snow. Now you will say why. Because snow travels a lot for you guys. It's so tired at times that it gets completely converted into sweat before it reaches you. I mean, it gets completely exhausted, can't make it. Now here's the question. How much time does it take for the snow to reach you? Now this snowflake journey begins with your descent from a cloud layer down to earth. And this can take approximately 1 hour. Although it depends on speed and height. At times it may take up to 2 hours. So be excited when you guys make the snowman next time. So we're lucky to have this snow. These snowflakes traveling towards us. And let me tell you one bonus fact as well. Now this one is for you. If you want to enjoy your summers or winters for a very long time. So you should go to this planet. Now why? Because winter lasts for approximately 21 years in there. 21 years. And the winter side of the planet never sees the sun. Imagine 21 years you don't see the sun at all. Will you enjoy the winter? Meanwhile, the summer side will have continuous daylight. Let me know in the comments. Will you like to be a part of such a long winter? I won't. Let us move on, guys. Now let me tell you, this one is very interesting. Now if you load your Kindle with 100 books, for example, will it become heavier? Yes or no? Do you guys think it will gain a little bit of weight? And what if you delete 100 books? And what if you delete all the books? Will it become lighter? Because at least I know if I decrease the number of books in a backpack, it seems to be lighter to me. So the weight of 1000 books at home in your backpack, for example, versus 1000 books in your iPad or Kindle. Yes, the weight will change, but by a very small amount. Say of the order of an attogram, or 10 raised power minus 19 grams. A Kindle, for example, uses flash memory, composed of special transistors, 1 per stored bit, which uses trapped electrons to distinguish between zeros and ones. So the strings of zeros and ones are called binary. For example, in your computer, a single letter A is stored as 8 binary numbers. So A means these 8 numbers in your computer. Similarly, 7 means these many numbers. It takes one transistor to store each binary digit, or people call it a bit. Now these trapped ones have higher energy than the untrapped ones. A conservative estimate of the difference would be 10 raised to power minus 15 joules. Now you guys know energy mass thing, right? E is equal to mc square. So empty versus full devices. So 0 gigabytes versus 16 gigabytes. There is going to be a good difference. That's what makes your devices to change weight. Although you hardly notice it. I never noticed it. But it is a fact and an interesting one. Now let us move on to the next one. Now this one is funny. Now this one is about testing athletic abilities of berries to determine their quality and sort them accordingly. So there is a tool which we actually use for this purpose. Can you name the tool? So growers actually test the berries. Now this is the bounce board separator. The higher the bounce, the better the berry. So the same air pockets which let the cranberries float. So the air pockets let the cranberries float. Now let us move on to the next one. Now this one is about clocks. Prior to the invention of atomic clocks, how was a second measured? 1 second. A second was measured as these many oscillations of cesium. Almost 9 billion. Now let's move on to the next one. Now this one is about tears. No, I'm not going to make you cry. These are happy tears. Now if you have seen newborns, you might have noticed that they keep crying a lot at times. But if you look closer, you may see that there are no tears actually. So why are they pretending to cry? Why? They actually don't shed any tears because their tear ducts are still developing after birth, and it's normal for them not to shed any tears for a few months. So yes, you did the same thing. You were just crying out loud without any tears. Yes, Weekend did the same thing. Now let's move on to the next one. Now this one is about currency. There was something which was used as a currency in ancient Rome, which we use every day in our homes. It's like the grocery thing now. Name this thing which was used as a currency. It was salt. Yes, salt guys. It was used as a currency at some point. Oh, I would stay at the mountains or at the beaches if I could still use salt as a currency. But it has changed now. Now this one is about world's toughest programming language, invented by man. The language is named after the 8th circle of hell in Dante's Inferno. And here is an interesting thing. The aim was to create a language which is impossible to use. Well, that sounds different. Do you know what language is this? Can you name this language? It is Melbolg, and this is the world's toughest programming language. I don't know why it was invented. And I've heard that the person who invented it didn't use it as well. Why was it invented? Name an insect or insects that can sense electric fields. Here is an example. The bumblebees can sense the electric field which surrounds a flower. They can even learn to distinguish between different floral shapes, or use them to check if the flower has been visited by other bees. Isn't that interesting, guys? And just a bonus fact, Mars is humming. Now talking about bees and flowers, why does this happen? The friction of the microscopic collisions strips electrons from the bee's surface, and they typically end up in a positive charge. And on the other hand, flowers tend to have a negative charge, at least on clear days. So you may think a bumblebee visits a flower because of its bright colors, different patterns of the petals, or the sweet nectar. But there's a lot of other things going on in there, guys. And the electric field thing is what makes it more interesting. Now this number 2 is very, very interesting. Like, very interesting. What is one of the worst inventions? Come on guys, you use this almost every single day. Every single day. Whenever you visit a store for grocery, or you go to a mall, guess the worst invention. Guess this worst invention. Plastic grocery bags. These are one of the worst inventions. I wonder how much time was spent in making them. But they end up in worst inventions. They were developed as an alternative to paper bags. I guess it backfired. Because the paper bags resulted in forests being chopped down. That's why the plastic grocery bags. And here is one more thing. It is estimated by 2050, plastic in the oceans will outweigh fish. And this is the sad reality. Now moving on to number 1, guys. Final fact. Now this is the most interesting one. Total amount of data created, captured, copied or consumed in the world is expected to reach 74 zettabytes. in 2021 global data sphere. Now what if we are able to compress all the data in the DNA? Now you may think why. DNA has many advantages of storing digital data. Number one, it is ultra compact. Number two, it can last for hundreds and thousands of years if kept in a cool, dry place. And one more important thing is, it won't downgrade like CDs or DVDs. That is, it won't become obsolete. And since it's ultra compact, here is what it means. It means all the information ever recorded can be kept in a big container. Maybe 2-3 big rooms, and that's it. Here data is first translated from zeros and ones to ATCG code. So these are the 4 chemical bases, with AT and CG making base pairs. Now we may not be there yet, but this is going to be extremely interesting when we will use DNA. Now here is your question. The information density of DNA is remarkable. Guess 1 gram can store how much data? 215 petabytes or 215 million gigabytes. That's a lot of movies and shows, guys. Yes, a lot of games too. Now the hard disks in your computers are almost 1/1,000,000th of that amount. Now imagine what DNA can do. And that may also mean that the data centers of big companies like Facebook and Amazon, they may be replaced by big containers of DNA. Just a couple of them. And that's it. Because these companies generate a lot of data on the internet every second. Microsoft is also working to store the information in ATCG format instead of zeros and ones. So now it's just a matter of time. And on that note, I would like to wrap up this video and let me know which one was your favorite fact in the comments below. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share, and I will see you guys next time.